You are listening to the Social Hotelier Show, a podcast that inspires hoteliers to create meaningful and memorable experiences for their customers in pursuit of their passion. We share our views and experiences relating to hospitality, technological trends, and also relating to humanity. Here is your host, Sam-Erik Rutman.
We have some incredible guest speakers lined up for you, including Ted Rubin, a leading social media strategist, author of Return on Relationships. It's a fantastic book about how to not to focus on return on investment when you're doing business, but you should more focus on return on relationships, because that's how the business is growing, and you, in fact, at the end, it will be worth your while, your investment. But also, a very important guest for me is Robin Woodhead. She's a dear friend, and she's the first South African woman who has visited both the South Pole and the North Pole, and she is the co-founder of White Desert Antarctica, a luxury polar safari camp. And another very important guest for me is the founder of an influencer agency, and she is talking about what to look out for when you hire an influencer for your campaign. Considering the situation in today's world, where you can buy a lot of followers with bots and so on, you can actually fake that you have millions of followers, and then when you sell your services as an influencer to a campaign, the owner of that campaign might have a rude awakening. It turns out that it wasn't what it was dreamt of. But now let's move on to today's episode. I'm very happy to invite Tamina Wuerth. She's the Chief Executive Officer and the founder of Aivolution Pro. Welcome, Tamina.
Hello, thank you so much for having me.
Well, I realized when we had the earlier discovery call that we have actually a lot of things in common, in the sense that we both have started our careers in hotels and in food and beverage. You were a waitress and I was a waiter, but now fast forward, you actually advanced to something I never had a chance to do, is to do social media marketing and also coding. And then you have sort of skyrocketed and escalated your career to artificial intelligence, which is we are living in very interesting times. So could you share about your professional journey and then how you ended up now as an owner of a very interesting company?
Yeah, of course. It was a very interesting 14 years in total. I started 14 years ago in the hospitality industry as a waitress besides school, and after that I worked in several jobs around the globe, actually in Australia, New Zealand. I did a bartender degree in Las Vegas, and then started working at the reception as well, and did some other assistant jobs. And besides that, I always worked as a freelancer in social media, web design, and then started learning coding a little bit, Python, and all these interesting things. And then at the beginning of the year, all this AI hype came up, and I saw a big opportunity and a gap in the hospitality industry to provide value and solve some problems with that. And then I merged basically all I learned in the past 14 years to found this company.
That's very clever. I mean, I wish I would have been in the same situation, because I probably would have jumped into exactly the thing, because clearly AI is your passion, hospitality is your passion, and when you merge these two interests together, then you have a very interesting opportunity. So just to understand the AI Aivolution, the company you have, what kind of services do you provide? And tell me a little bit about the challenges you have in convincing some very traditional hoteliers who maybe are not really sure whether you can do more with AI except writing a small essay or a marketing pitch.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we have several offers that we provide, from like low ticket to high ticket. One of the main things we do is automating the guest inquiry process, also through social media. So when someone writes you on Instagram, they don't have to wait hours or sometimes days until someone responds. You get an instant response from a human-like AI person, and they then redirect you to good links on your website to packages, because they always ask questions and then know the customer very well. And then we also do systems in the back office of the hotel to make the life of the staff easier, so they can write emails easier, and guest comments, like comment on that, and all these things that are very repetitive, boring tasks, and can be automated and make the staff just a little bit happier. And to the hoteliers who are often very traditional, most of the very traditional ones, they don't even like jump on a call with me. They are like, no, we don't need that. I get that a lot actually in Germany and Switzerland. We see the US is much more open, but now that I have also got some speaking engagements in some events, they open up a little bit, because I put myself out there and they see other people are talking to me. So it is a little bit about building a reputation, which I totally understand.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. I mean, there's obviously this credibility issue. And I remember from my own career when I was trying to convince the management of the company I work for that we'd actually need a website, or we need to have a presence in social media. They thought that would be, why we need to be in Facebook? I mean, what's the point? Or even Instagram, which was not really, didn't have video. And then when I started to talk about let's do video, then it was absolutely unheard of. You know, we don't have any budgets for that. So we have come a long way, and I'm very glad that some of the stuffy ears are now opening up to listen to Tamina about the AI. But I think it's quite interesting now to see that because in the hospitality, you know, we talk about personalization or personalizing the experience for the guest, and this has always been one of those very important part of my personal existence, where I came from the analog era, and we all had our own ways of personalizing. But now we didn't really know always how to collect the guest preferences. But when we come to AI, how does it actually work that you can personalize a customer experience utilizing the power of artificial intelligence?
Yeah, so definitely it's about a little bit collecting data. I always think it's very interesting when I talk to people and they are so concerned about what people do with their data, but then at the other hand they want super personalized experiences, ads and everything, but they don't want so much get their data out there. So it is a little bit of finding the right balance, because you have to like really look that the people don't get offended that you like have too much data of them. But there are good systems that we also help hotel chains build, that when a guest like books in Berlin and they have a preference of a certain type of room, that it gets noted in the system, and then if they go to the same chain, let's say in the US, that they have this on record and they can already offer a room that fits their needs already. This is like what people really like. Again, the problem is a little bit with how long and how much data are you allowed to store. It's not so much of a problem in the US and the rest of the world, but in Europe, there's a little bit of a problem. And right now we are also working together with some lawyers to find out good ways to overcome this small problem. But AI can definitely like store it and then give the information also to the employees when they come to the reception and they know they like their bottle of champagne. Then they maybe after a few visits, then they can just like give that away for free, to just get them to come again.
Yeah, very good. I mean, that has been one of my gripes about hotel brands that have several hotels, and they didn't have their act together. And because I'm always believe that you should have a single guest profile throughout all your properties. And now you're confirming to me actually there are companies that are in that stage, that you can stay one night in Berlin, another night somewhere else, and in fact the staff is empowered with that information in front of them when the guest arrives, or in fact in the booking situation. That's very good. Did it take a long time to convince companies to do that, or is it something where it was an easy sell?
It was in the beginning. It was a little bit harder to get the messaging right on my part, actually, because it was hard to tell people what I'm doing and they didn't really understand. And if you don't catch them in the right moment, then they are switched off. So in the beginning, I had to change my messaging a little bit, and I tried to like step a little bit back from AI, so I don't run inside and say, "Oh, AI," because it always makes things complicated, even though it makes things easier. So I rather go and tell them the outcome that they will receive. For example, more direct bookings or like a less quitting rate in your staff, and sell more the outcome than the actual process that we implement.
That's interesting. So would you have, if you look back when you started and you're a passionate AI, artificial intelligence person, would you have if you have changed your message already early enough to be more on the, not talking about AI, but more providing the benefit and the solution, that you may have had a earlier success in the work? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Then it would have taken off earlier, but like now that we found this sweet spot, we have like just in 1 week we got 15 clients, just now before our event. So that's really a great to see that the demand is there and that we just had to show people differently and don't make it too complicated for them and make them like feel like it's an easy process.
Yeah, that makes sense. Where do you mentioned that you are getting clients, you've been developing your client base through direct contacts, and you're also talking at the industry event. Do you find that being on those industry events is one of the ways that you are developing those relationships early on, or contacts, and then can nurture it to a business that they're interested to test out?
Yes, 100%. It was all about the event that's now in October where I attend. Like now here in Cyprus, hotels were then interested in talking to me because they hear United States and then they think it must be great. And also now that I'm promoted by the event, which is only hotel owners and managers on the event, they already reach out to me and ask me questions. And yeah, I will do a workshop there, and I'm super excited to do that. And I see how important it is to get out there, not just like texting people on LinkedIn, but really get yourself out there and show people what you do in person. This is nothing AI can do. This is something I have to do and show them and build the trust.
Yeah, absolutely. What have been some maybe typical questions that you're asked by the person who doesn't know much but is cautiously interested, and they're not committed yet to buy into the idea? Just maybe you can share some examples for our audience.
Yeah, so a common question is always about numbers. So they want to know with other hotels I worked with and how much it improved their direct bookings, for example. And then asking in general about what I do, and they always want to jump on a call, which I totally understand. It's a product that needs a little bit of explanation. So they ask a lot about the technology. Actually, I try to like go around that because they don't really need to understand the complicated stuff behind it, because that's what I'm here for, to make it easy for them. But they are actually interested how it works, and I'm always surprised that they ask these technical questions about it.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I mean, that's very interesting. I think we need to. I got somehow a call came through while we were speaking, so I will ask you the question one more time. So then I will use that when I edit this thing. I'm interested to understand when you are at events and you're meeting clients for the first time, what are the particular questions that you are faced when they are thinking about and cautiously thinking about into getting introduced to AI into their hotel system. So if you could share some maybe top 3 questions that you are asked, and how do you answer them?
Yeah, so mainly they ask about numbers, so what other hotels achieved with my systems, and then they want to know exactly the numbers to like feel better about their hotel, even though every hotel is different, of course. And then they want to know with whom I work with and what I did before that. That's a big thing. And then what I was super surprised about is that they ask a lot about the technology behind it, like how do we build it, and do I have to code a lot for it, and all these technical questions. It's really interesting to see that they ask that. Even though I want to make their lives easier so they don't have to deal with that, they are still interested.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, that still goes on for a while, but I think with the generation of hoteliers who are more digitally orientated, and they follow what has been going on for the last year, and so they can see the benefit. And it's so fast, this AI advancing, that it's mind-boggling. I mean, how do you stay up to speed with the new announcement, the new apps, the new extensions that are being introduced? Do you have time to, or do you have somebody capable who can keep you up to date and collect this for you?
Yeah, so actually that's something I do myself. I signed up to some really great newsletters with some great people in the industry, and I always think when I see a new system or new announcements, how can hospitality benefit from it? And I do this solely myself, and I track my time that I spend with these tools, because I think it's interesting for people to know that I actually work with these tools a lot. And only this year I've spent over 1,500 hours with several, like hundreds of AI tools, testing them, looking at them, and seeing how they can benefit other businesses.
Could you share just some idea of what are some kind of tools now that are on that comes to your mind, that you've been studying and maybe not able to introduce them yet into the industry, but you think this is going to be maybe part of the future?
Yeah, so what I see a lot is building own apps super easily. So this is something we want to do as well. So the hotel staff, for example, has then their own app, and the people have their own logins, and depending on what role you have, for example, you're a receptionist and you handle email inquiries and check-ins, then you would have different blogs where you have all the tools that help you to do your job more efficient, faster, and also helping with the onboarding process. If you have a question, you don't always have to run to your manager. You can just ask the tool first, because almost all questions that staff could answer are in there, and then they can just answer, hey, I have a question, where do I find this information? And then the bot gives it to them, and it makes the life of the manager easier, and also for the staff, because they are often afraid to ask the same question a third time, and then they do just their job worse because they are afraid to ask again.
Yeah. Very good. That's very interesting. Well, since we talk about employees, let's maybe move over to the empowering employees. One of the key issues in the whole industry really is that there's a shortage of staff, and people don't stay committed to the industry or the job for a very long time. They're easily moving on to another job, or they're doing something differently. And unlike in the past, not trying to dwell on the past, but there was a time really when you had somebody who had a very life commitment to being working in the housekeeping, for instance, or they're working in the bar as a bartender, or the service staff. So when the guests came for the first time and they got to know the staff, there was that memorable aspect of the whole experience, why they thought, well, I'll come back again because they were so nice to me. And when they came back the second time, here we have again the friendly, the housekeeping person who said that, well, hello, my name is so and so, and I'll be looking after your stay. And They put the flowers and the favorite fruits of the guest in the room, and did all those things without asking, and that was made a tremendous impact on. And that was how in one of the hotels I was operating, that we were so dependent on this, and the weakness, of course, was that this was based on a gut feeling and the staff had. But we didn't document it, because that was the most difficult thing, was to document all these that Mr. and Mrs. Smith like papaya or something like that. But I think more important now is that with the situation we have in the staff shortages, how do you see the AI role in this aspect of enhancing the guest experience and empowering the employees to be able to provide a memorable experience? What are some aspects that you see that AI can provide a solution, not overtaking the role, but still close the gap and help to solve the situation that the guest, after all, has a memorable stay when they stay several times?
Yeah, I think AI can help hugely with it, because you can make the work environment for your staff so much better that people don't even get that yet, but you can make it so much better for your employees. And if you have a great work environment for your employees, they will also stay. So, and then you have the people who memorize the guests, which is super important to have people who are there longer. I've been working the past years before I founded my company at the reception, and they noticed that there are always new people everywhere, and the waiters are different, and they never see the same person. And I got this question actually several times from people who ask me, where can we go and eat where they treat their stuff nicely? Because we don't want to go to restaurants anymore or to hotels where we know the stuff is treated poorly. So the guests, they look for that you have a good work environment for your staff. And you often they think it's about the money and they should pay more, but that's often not the problem. The problem is the value. The people see that they are not valued. And if you then don't get a lot of money and you're not valued, or you have even a rude manager, then it's a big problem and people leave all the time. But if you have like AI systems who automate a lot of processes at the reception, at like booking the tables and all the stuff, then the people don't have to do so many extra hours. Many are afraid that AI will take away jobs. No, they will just prevent from working overtime, which the people don't want to do, because often it's not even paid, even in Europe. And even if it's against the law, they still do it. And that's a big win-win-win for everyone, for the guests to see stuff is staying and see it's a great work environment, the staff who wants to stay because the job is easier than in other hotels and they don't have to do many extra hours, and for the managers who have happy staff, and that would make their life easier as well. You see, then there's a circle from this negative circle to a positive circle, and I think AI can hugely help with that.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, yes, money is important, salary is important, but I think is that the mental well-being and care of the staff is super important, and that keeps people for staying because they feel that they are valued, and when they see that there's a tool that will make their life in one way less complicated, I think that is definitely the way to go. So yeah, that sounds very, very interesting. Another thing that actually is of interest to me is that, and I also been asked by the audience, is about the hotels that has independent restaurants in the premises, and somehow they don't want to be seen as what we call a hotel restaurant, but to have a restaurant with its own identity. I remember you helped me out already about some tips of how AI can actually be of benefit for a restaurant. So could you just run through some of the ideas that you could share with the audience about for the independent restaurant? What are some kind of recommendation you would give them that they should consider when they use AI for the restaurants?
Yeah, definitely. So, first of all, which has nothing so much to do with AI, I would keep the social media separate. If you have the opportunity, I would make it separate. I would not promote it with a hotel, but I would have like a separate schedule. And then you can easily do that. It's not so much extra work. You can get a marketing plan with AI. There are great free tools like ChatGPT who can do a lot of good things if you like put in the right information for that. And then you can do a lot of menu customization. You can, based on past data, the AI can detect when it's a good time to sell a cocktail hour, or they can also go through your reviews online, and they say, okay, this was what people said often, so maybe you should do that more, or this food sold very good in winter, you should have that as well again there. And yeah, just have this personalization a little bit and see when you should sell which food or drinks more, which is super interesting to see what AI can do there. And it's not even an expensive, huge thing that just like the big change can afford.
Yeah, I think everyone should spend uh, a half an hour a day on ChatGPT, and or if it's like 5 days a week. And believe me, they can learn so much. I mean, I don't spend half an hour every day, but I spend half an hour on 3 days a week, and I still learn quite a bit. And then when I learn that it has a discussion element now, so you can actually talk to the ChatGPT in a friendly way, like Alexa and Siri, and you can get a lot of information. I use ChatGPT quite a bit. If you look at any of those tools, what was the first tool you used that you got excited about? For me, ChatGPT was not my first, but I had something before that, which I will share. But I thought, out of personal interest, what has been the kind of tool that you have been interested in and you like to use it?
Yeah, so firstly, it was a copy AI, I believe. It was a copywriting tool, like which I was thinking at the time, that was about last year, that it's super cool. But then actually ChatGPT came around, and I just saw how much more personalized I can make all this stuff, because then I learned about doing good prompts. I taught it myself. I didn't like do all this prompting stuff. I don't want to get too much into it, because I think many people talked about it. But yeah, it actually was also a ChatGPT like for many people, because it was the first time you could really see how helpful it is. And then with getting the API and seeing all these tools. Oh my God, there are so many. Sometimes I'm overwhelmed to name one, because I work with hundreds.
Yes, I understand. Well, to no surprise, I also started to use copy.ai, and that's my first tool.
Ah,
And because I had this, I'm writing a blog, and I had this looking at the blank piece of paper idea that how can I get started with a blog, and also when I do descriptions of things, and that was before the Chat GPT came out. So I started to use, and I still use. Copy.ai regularly, but I start now to use ChatGPT even more, and there is a couple of YouTubers who gives practical tips on about prompts, and I learn from them, and I test it out. Well, how does it work if I do this? And yeah, so that's really the way to go. And I think they're so advancing. And then there are so many different products that are offshoots of the Chat GPT that you're compelling. And now, of course, with different systems like the latest thing I'm using is Bing, and Bing Chat I use from my mobile device, and I ask Bing lots of questions that I know nothing about, and suddenly it's a little bit more friendlier than ChatGPT, who is so confident that they're giving a right answer every time, and then you have to be very careful that you don't try to trust 100% what it says.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think let's look a little bit about the future. And I mean, there has been things like keyless entry, particularly during the pandemic. A lot of things were introduced. The self check-in, and some people didn't really want to meet anyone from the moment they arrived to the hotel and until they left because of the pandemic. And that, in fact, introduced a lot of these tools. But from your point of view, do you see this still as a future, that we are going to be relying more on sort of the services that it doesn't need a human, or there's another way of looking at it that the AI is in the background and the human is in the front? Or how do you see the hotel experience of the future?
Yeah, so I definitely see still people in the hotels, that's for sure. But I see that a lot of everything that can be automated, everything that's technical, will be eventually be ran by AI at some point. And I also think that especially in the checking in and checking out process, it is still important to also have the possibility to do a complete online check-in and a complete online checkout, because even more the younger generation, they care more about not necessarily speaking to the receptionist. They don't need like their advice on something. But I think if they do, it's good to have someone there, and especially for other people who are more open and want that. Then it is great that the front office staff has more time to really focus on the human connection, because I also know from working at the reception, sometimes the people want to talk and talk and talk, but there are so many other people, and then I have to answer so many other emails, and I have, in general, so many things to do. That I cannot build this connection how they would like to, and AI would really help to make sure that the staff can really focus on the human connection and the emotional part of the hotel.
Yeah. You know what has always impressed me a lot is that when you walk into a hotel, you arrive to the hotel, and somebody knows you by name before you introduced yourself. It has been so incredibly impressive for me that they are managing. Of course, the old way was that the bellman was looking at the luggage and by walkie-talkie quickly said that Mr. Smith is arriving. But taking the modern technology, I'm still waiting for that Google Glass or Apple goggles, or that they're kind of so friendly that you can just put the lens here and then you can start see a screen in front of you. I mean, is that the future? Do you think this is going to happen?
I think it could. I mean, I saw the Apple presentation with the glasses. I'm all about it. I would definitely get them, even though they're hugely overpriced. But I think it will not be this goggle thing. Like, I think very fast it will be like normal glasses, or just like a small thing, and maybe everyone will be using it. I mean, before the iPhone, we all thought our normal phone would be normal. Now everyone has a smartphone, so I think technology will evolve very, very fast, and it will suffer. Then the human connection will be less and less. But I think it's also many people want that, so not so many people in the future may want this personal connection anymore, although I think there will be people who want that still, but I think there will be more people who are happy just by themselves.
Yeah, I mean, it's really a topic for a different episode about the impact of all this technology that isolates people and the mental wellness impact. But maybe we'll leave that to another time. But yeah, I think that I've been reluctant to buy any of the goggles because they're so clumsy. I mean, I don't really like to wear. Even Apple looks so beautifully designed, heavily overpriced as they always are. But they are quite nice. I have to admit, watching the presentation, I thought it would be quite nice to have that kind of experience and even use the latest iPhone. Would be filming something like I watch the movie later on and get the sort of a very quality view by an experience or special experience by using those goggles. But yeah, so that's That's the future. Oh, now I really want to get into this, the future jobs in working in the hotel that is relating to the technology. Any particular jobs that you see if you would talk to me being 18-year-olds and hey, Sam-Erik, I think you should consider this job because the AI is actually providing that opportunity, and there's probably not many people who's doing that. What advice would you tell me?
I would tell you to learn everything about AI technology, machine learning, and data science that you can. Not necessarily coding, because coding will be taken over by AI as well. I don't think you need that in a few years from now. They will be much better than now. And then you can just offer you services, because everyone will have eventually an AI specialist, or I don't know how they will call it, but a few years from today, it was like a social media manager. No one wanted a social media manager. So now everyone has one. And I think it will be the same with AI. I think still, like companies like mine who implement this solutions will still be a thing for especially big companies. And I think smaller companies, they will just have one employee who will implement these strategies and keep everything up to date, because it's important to have someone to keep it updated, because what's cool today is maybe outdated in 2 weeks.
Yeah, yeah. I heard some kind of jobs coming up, like a prompt master or prompt engineer or any of those kind of jobs.
Yeah.
So I thought that maybe that could be a kind of fun job to do. That becoming the key guy. They say, "Hey, Sam-Erik, I need a prompt for this, and I will write this hugely long prompt and solve their problem in instantly." But that was my dream.
I mean, it's never too late.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, Tamina, I think this has been a very interesting discussion with you, and I certainly have learned a lot during this time we've been together. But I know that there will be people who want to reach out to you. Where can they find you to connect with you and ask you more about these things, and perhaps ask you to assist them?
Yeah, so my main platform is LinkedIn right now. You can just find me under my name, Tamina Wuerth. It's yeah, I think it's just one person with that name over there. And you can also write me an email at hi@aivolution.pro, but maybe LinkedIn is the best way to go for the first reach out. I also post a lot of AI tips for hospitality there, so it's definitely worth checking out.
Very good. Yeah, it's nice to see you are very active on LinkedIn, and I think that's going to be the good entry to connect with you. So, well, I'd like to thank you, Tamina, for this wonderful time together, and I appreciate the time you've been here, and looking forward to doing another episode in the future about when we are reaching the next point in the AI. So thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for joining us this week on the Social Hotelier Show. Make sure to visit our website, b8bhospitality.com, where you can subscribe to the show in iTunes or Spotify, so you'll never miss a show. While you're at it, if you found value in this show, we appreciate a rating on iTunes, or if you simply tell a friend about the show, that would help us too. Be sure to tune in for our next episode.